You mentioned to me when we first started talking about Rush Holt offline, obviously, that he had some kind of legislation that would require people to move to closer to hospitals. You recall?
There was.
I mean, that struck me when we talked about that.
There was.
I've had customers in the adult daycare business, and one of them that said actually told me when they found out of my political involvement, we got to get rid of this Holt guy. And I told them the story that you told me.
There's a bill pending, and I don't think it's gone anywhere, frankly. But there's a bill pending. It's got a catchy acronym that talks about taxing your car for the mileage you drive, which is designed to encourage people to live closer to mass transportation, closer to where they shop, closer to where they work, and it's all part of the green agenda. It's not. It's part of cutting back on carbon emissions by making people drive less. And what they want to do is actually to tax how much you drive, and that's a backdoor way of getting you to move closer. Not just closer to hospitals, but closer to every type of place you have to go, whether it's a hospital or a shopping mall or mass transit. And it's absolutely, I'm telling you, it funds all these studies for the next 10 years about how to get people to move closer to these places by taxing them in any number of ways.
And this is Rush Holt's
Rush Holt's prime sponsor.
Wow. So it's pretty important that we get rid of that guy.
Absolutely.
Okay. The last week, or was it the week before at CPAC?
It was a week ago,
okay.
2 weeks ago almost.
Yeah. You told a blogger on a video that Rush Holt's predecessor, Mike Pappas, did a bad job.
Yeah.
Do you believe that?
What I intended to mean, what I meant was, if you remember the Twinkle Twinkle Kenneth Starr ditty, that was the bad job. That's what I meant. Mike Pappas is a strong conservative. He did a good job. He got caught up in an anti Kenneth Starr backlash, the whole Monica Lewinsky thing, and all Rush Holt had to do was run that clip of him on the House floor singing "Twinkle Twinkle Kenneth Starr," and that's a bad job. He did a bad job in responding to it.
Yeah.
He should have said Mike Pappas was in the Glee Club or the Congressional Chorus or whatever they call it. I mean, he is a singer. I mean, this is part of if he'd come out and explained it properly, he would have never lost that election. He may still be a congressman. Unfortunately, he did a bad job on that one little tiny thing in the way it was portrayed. That's what I meant.
Okay, fair enough. And that's anybody who ever saw that commercial's cringed.
Everyone who lives in the 12th district, we can mark the day that Rush Holt won that election.
Yeah. Now, comparing yourself to Pappas, if you will, you're not going to sing or flip coins on the house on the house floor.
I can guarantee you, I'm not going to sing.
Okay. But in the issue of life, Mike was very clearly pro-life.
Yes, he was.
Your position hasn't been that clear.
Well, I disagree. I mean, I've never been asked the question directly. It's amazing how a lot of people speak.
So I'll ask it directly. When does life begin?
Conception.
Okay, and should abortion be illegal?
I would like to see abortion made illegal.
You would?
I would. And I would support a life agenda when I have the opportunity to do so.
Okay. Is that different than anything you've said publicly before?
It's different in what has been portrayed publicly. One of the things I found during the course of this campaign is that all the things I've always believed actually make me pro-life person. I never drilled down to understand that I was pro-life. All the parental notification, waiting periods, no partial birth abortion, all these sub-issues that I always assumed because I agreed with meant, I never got past that issue where that makes you pro-life. It was only in talking to people like Professor George or the Right to Life coalitions that I realized that I actually am pro-life. My position's never changed. It's just you tie it all together, and they said, Mike, you're pro-life, because of the way I answered a series of questions that they were put to me, which were very interesting and tough questions. Listen, on any possible, and life issues are so much bigger than just abortion. You have to understand. I mean, when we talk life issues, we're talking about cloning, we're talking about embryonic stem cell research, and we're talking about abortion, and we're talking about end of life issues. On all of those issues, you know, when you slice it up, I'm pro-life.
Okay. And you've never said that abortion should be legal?
I've never said abortion should be legal.
Okay. Or that it was not, or the government shouldn't be involved. It's a...
No, what I said was, and this is...
Or where'd the confusion come from? People, I mean, you're saying now, that which is a little bit incredulous, frankly, that you only realized that you were pro-life in the last year or so since you've been running for Congress. Your positions that
I've never been confronted with the question on the level, on the multitude of levels that I've been confronted with the question during the campaign. And when confronted, I mean, these are things I never thought about. I mean, I never was in a position where other people cared how I felt about embryonic stem cell research. I was never in a position where other people cared about how I felt, you know, on end-of-life issues or euthanasia.
But were you ever in a position where you had to vote for somebody who was either for or against, pro-choice or pro-life? That's how a lot of people, or voters particularly, shape that out. You know,
I've always voted for the Republican. I've never donated money to Democrats. I've never voted for Democrats. So a lot of times you're left with the Democrat versus the Republican. I'm not voting for a Democrat. You know, I'm voting for the Republican. Is the Republican pro-life or pro-choice? My position was, well, what's the alternative? You know, Dick Zimmer was a very, very staunch conservative in every aspect, except he was a moderate on life issues. I always voted for Dick Zimmer. You know, what were the alternatives? I voted for Mike Pappas. You know, it's just, I mean, when you're presented in this district, you're presented with these issues. What's the alternative?
Okay, so you never took a libertarian stance that you're against abortion?
Oh no, I'm a libertarian. I mean, I have a libertarian bent, but the issue with libertarianism and the life issue is the very first question you ask me. If you're a libertarian and you decide life begins at conception, then abortion is not the government getting into your business. It's the government protecting every child. So yeah, it's a libertarian issue.
Okay, so how did this confusion that people have been portraying you differently than having that position, where did that come from? It
came from, as far as I know, I've only spoken publicly about it once. Well, that's not true. I mean, since up until now, and up until, you know, anytime I'm in a small group or I talk to anyone, I always answer the question the way I'm answering it with you. But the very first time I was ever asked that question, I gave a bad answer.
What was the answer?
I said that, you know, I favor all the restrictions. I said that the libertarian in me says that government needs to, you know, get out of our business, and that will make me pro-choice in some eyes.
Got it. So that was a bad answer, kind of like that Mike Pappas did a bad job.
I think, well, there you go.
Okay. Fair enough.